It is Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Pick for yesterday, LDOS. We took that as a day trade, and when I called it out, stock was right around over here, and then you can see that the market was starting to move in lower. We got the double top lower high right at started moving at 140, and it was right here when we got the double top lower high at 150. So if you ended up taking the trade, you had a nice little move to the low of the day, and then started to lose. It had some little relative strength, but didn't really do a whole lot. So had a chance to take a nice little amount of profit in here, or you could scratch it out. It looked good, but I didn't actually end up taking it because I was looking at my other alerts, and play ended up being a much better setup. So still continuing to go down. Really, really nice short. I took play right over here at 30.30. And then what I'll do is actually I'll flash it up on the screen so you know. But I took play right over here, and this is why I like this setup on play. It was a post-earning bear, massive gap down, and it spent pretty much the majority of the day, 4 hours of the day, just digesting all of these gains while the market was going lower. So huge tell of relative weakness. And I knew that on a clean break of this low with heavy volume, nice key bar, got a fresh sell signal too, it was on a tear. So I took profits at a 29.56. So somewhere right around over here, because there was D1 support in the way right over here. So, I wanted to see, okay, well, I didn't know if play would break through or not break through. Ended up breaking through. We're also through this low minus trend line a couple low minus trend lines over here. So, yeah, this was a good one to take even today. Market is flat. This was a flat open, compressed for a while, broke down over here. 1030 is a great entry point on the stock. Second entry point, you could take it somewhere over here when it starts to roll over, or you could take through a break through the low of the day somewhere over here, and you could ride that guy lower. Market flatlining today. Looking at this analysis, we had a small gap down, tested the open. Then we tried to move back to the gap, got rejected, and then we just started compressing and chopping around somewhere. Right now, the market's at the low of the day. Don't exactly know where it's going to go. Could go anywhere really. I mean, we're a little bit bearish on this price action, but we're hitting some support over here. There's a bit of a bid. We're not able to really get through initially, but we're also not able to bounce up. So we're just kind of compressing right in this level over here. Very LPT sort of day. So, yeah, I mean, LDOS ended up being a no trade because I swapped to play. And that happens sometimes with the day trades. I find something that looks pretty good, but then I'm still kind of flipping around through some of the picks I liked. And then play ended up setting up really, really nice. And I decided that this was actually a better play. And it ended up, no pun intended, ended up moving up downwards. So that's that. SPY on the D1 longer term. Nothing, again, has changed too much. We haven't seen any sort of major move that would change that longer term bias right now. Shorter term, we are kind of compressing over here. You can see that we're kind of in this range, not doing a whole lot. And that's one of the scenarios I outlined. We could see a double top lower high. We could test the bottom of this range and then bounce up. Really quite hard to say. I'm leaning more towards the fact that we're going to hold this range, maybe even test 600. Right? This could be a little weak move down and then get back into this range. So it could be a little bit of a bounce into year end that could take us to, it could take us to 620. We could also see something where we compress for a little bit and then we get a nice little run breakout. I don't know if it's going to happen. It would probably happen sometime next week because we have FOMC and triple witching. So we've already kind of had a week or so of compression. So maybe another week this week, we get 2 weeks in or so, and then we can kind of get some lift off over here. Here's the other scenario, right? We get a compression and we start to break to the downside. This was after some heavy selling. But I think here's kind of the scenario we're looking at, right? We could get something like this. A bearish engulf tells us that this might be a little bit more selling pressure before we get a bit of a bounce. And you can see that this cycle took about a month to play out. So we have some holidays. There's going to be some dull trading. So I think if the breakout doesn't happen next week, I will suspect that we're probably not going to do a whole lot after that. So that's what I'm looking for potentially. The fact that we're compressing, it could be a little bit bullish, could be a little bit bearish, but not really doing a whole lot right now. So that's sort of the shorter term bias. If we zoom in what's happening on the last couple of days, you'll notice that market has had a lot of crap going around, right? It's just been chopping around this gap fill level. We got to break through. We got to test up. We got a lower high. We're moving back a little bit lower. So just light volume program trading. You can see there's a lot of chop and direction. This is actually where your AVWAPs end up being especially relevant because I'm going to put them up over here. On this low volume stuff, the programs kind of just tend to bounce off a lot of these AVWAPs. So I'm going to just hide some of the drawings for now. Hide drawings just to keep it a little bit cleaner. So here's the AVWAP from yesterday. From a couple of days ago, you can see that in a bear trend, okay, we're kind of hugging that AVWAP from the prior day. These low volume flat days, we tend to test that AVWAP and then it might make a move lower. On the uptrend, right, we can stack these and you can see we get a test, break up, test. So this AVWAP from the gap gets tested a lot until it's finally broken down to the downside. This AVWAP from this all-time high here, still getting preserved. And, you know, we're kind of chopping around here. We tested that. Today we got a test, another test, and we broke down below it. Now we're below the AVWAP from a couple days ago. So we're just going to chop around and bounce around these levels. There's not really any volume or conviction to break through them. Where we need that super strong move through, right? We get a couple of tests, couple of retests, and that sort of confirms that we're getting ready on this move up. So, yeah, pretty happy with the gains I took just at the gap. You can see that if you took gains over here on the gap up around 606, market's been flat to that. So you didn't miss too much of the upside. Market had maybe $3 or more upside, a lot more downside. So, yeah, that's what we're kind of seeing in the market there. Mentioned today, pretty LPTE day. Let's just take a look at our open positions. Let's talk about one trade I took, but we're not going to have any picks for today. So, okay, first couple of stuff here is UPST. Took a scratch on this earlier today. Looking nice, and then stock started to break down through the low of the day. A lot of volume, a lot of volatility. You can see this forming a bearish engulf, a bearish hammer off this high, and this is kind of a potentially a little higher low double top. It's in this compression range, so not crazy about UPST right now. So I figured, I'd just scratch it, 78, and get to the sidelines. Don't have any market tailwind. Stock isn't doing a whole lot. Kind of flat lines. So let me just get out, and I can reevaluate the conditions. So that is a break even. Reddit is holding up the gains decently well over here. It's been a little bit relatively weak. If you notice too, Reddit tends to have like a kind of a deeper drop. So we got this big drop over here. Now we haven't actually eclipsed this high. So to me, it's still in a bearish trend, perhaps a mildly weak bearish trend. I like how it's holding some of the gains of this candle. May inch up a little bit higher. If you look at it, Reddit a couple days ago when that news came out, here's a big chunk of news, right? We got some selling for a couple days. Then we were kind of chopping around here, right? This is how it looked like. It's like, it's like a little bearish. You know, we still haven't quite got this move to start to move out yet. And then we start to get the move up higher once you absorb some of that selling pressure. So on that kind of stock, I'm looking for move there, or, you know, maybe I'll draw another trend line like that, because we've broken through this trend line on a time breach, which is not the strongest break. But yeah, that's what I'd like to see. And ideally, I'd like to see this gap hold. So maybe I'm fine with a test of this gap and then a move up higher that breaks 173. That feels pretty good. Looks like to me there's still a couple of sellers over here, but as long as the stock doesn't get too knocked back from these sellers, then we are in good shape. So that is Reddit. GoDaddy, we're already out of half of the position. Stock is coming back up. It's been grinding up higher while the market has been moving down a little bit lower today. So I like what I see in GoDaddy. I think we have a chance of, whoops, that's the wrong chart. I think we have a chance of breaking through this high soonish. So when we get the next breakthrough over here, that is probably going to take some more profits. Twilio is looking good. We're holding through this level. I'm going to flip through this chart on Twilio over here. So let's go to the D1. Okay. And let's unhide these drawings. So on Twilio, you notice that we're at the IPO AVWAP. Nope, let me hide that. Nope. All right. So let's see, both hit this IPO AVWAP, broke through here, retested, came back up in here. This is the AVWAP from the all-time high. So because there's no market tailwind, I'm going to set that as my shorter-term target, which is just around 117. I think it has a pretty good chance to test that. Looks like 117.68. So I'm going to set my target for maybe 117.50. And that'd be some pretty nice gains in our position all the way from 98. So good stuff on Twilio over here. There's SPY here starting to make a new low. Team is starting to find a little bit of support. I'm going to look at this on the M30 basis. Yeah, so tall bounce today. It's continuing the gains up higher. I like what I see in the stock. And this looks like a selling climax on a shorter term basis. Found some support. So we got a breakout. We challenged the breakout. Yeah, it looks like we challenged the breakout and then we're inching higher. So again, team, I'm going to take some some gains off of the new all-time high. Like I mentioned in the last couple of videos, I think the stock is going to transition into either perhaps a range or a choppier move. Now, this is a little bit of a slightly, not a huge retracement, it's slightly a bit of a deeper retracement than we've seen before, but we don't really have any market tailwind right now, so that's what I'm seeing over there. So we're trimmed a lot of our positions off, and as the market continues to float higher and higher, I'm going to start to take more gains unless we start to get a pullback. Netflix here is holding. As you can see, I think this is going to really get into that IONQ formation where you get the dip, breakout, right, test thing, breakout. So I think we're going to kind of steadily grind a little bit higher. Not going to be as aggressive as we were right on this breakout at 780. Beautiful move on the stock. So those are the YouTube picks. I'm going to go over a trade I took today, which was ARM. And here's what I liked about the stock. First, we had a actually small gap down, but then we quickly filled it while the market was moving down. So this is a really nice scenario. Find some relative strength really early, some nice long candles. It's looking good, but look, if you look at the VWAP later in the day, 170, call it 177 here, right? 147. That's pretty much your time to enter the stock before as the average price continues to rise up over here. So got in here. There's a pullback, and this is a pretty strong move. And then when pullback had some mixed candles over here. We got this long red candle, no follow through, and we started to eat away at this candle. So entered right here at 148. And then I took profits at 149.76. And what I did was on this breakout over here, I added, and I used the M1 chart to add a little bit to the position. So this is kind of what it looked like over here. Yeah, so this is this is December 11th. Okay, here we go. Yep, so this is the really strong move earlier in the day. We get this pullback. And then you can see that here's what kind of when it entered around 148. And then stock broke out over higher. And then on this breakout, I added at the 8 EMA. So this is around 148.80. And then on the second breakout, added again at the 8 EME at 149.30. And then because we're approaching the all-time high and the market was in an LPTE day, I thought that I don't think we're really going to break through it. So I took profits at 147.76 on this new high because I knew this new high is likely to retrace. And I was like, I don't really want to wait and see like this start to flatten out and then reverse. And looks like it made another attempt later over here. I just didn't feel like dealing with all that. I was like, look, it's probably not going to break through the high of the day. Let me take some pretty nice gains. I added a little bit to the position, and I got a nice little win. So that was ARM. So, that was a nice little day trade today. I think on the short side, again, find a stock with a ton of volume, something like Play, right? Bunch of opportunities to enter this stock. Now at 10:30, it's not looking like super weak. The market's looking a little bit strong, so I wouldn't be crazy about entering shorts. But once the market starts to pitter-patter and not do a whole lot, especially looks like 125 is when it starts to get starts to get some weakness. You can see that the stock is hugging the low of the day, right? Test. We get some breaks, and then we're starting to get the follow through. And as soon as we get a little bit of market tailwind, we're off to the races. So Play, I think honestly the 125 candle is a pretty nice entry point on the stock. And you can ride that down. That's a huge gain on this guy. Really, really nice gain. Still going, so I would pretty much ride this guy out until it starts to flatline, until maybe you see some sort of little bullish engulf here, but it's steadily grinding lower. I think this is Dave & Buster's, yeah. So don't know what's going on with Dave & Buster's, but they maybe they need some new games. Massive breakdown over here. So this is a really nice one to day trade because it's a little bit overextended, and I don't think I'd be comfortable really swinging this. You want to wait for some sort of pullback or some sort of bounce. But that's a nice one that you could take as a long, or sorry, as a short. Definitely not as a long. Highlighting a couple of the ones here. Hood was looking decent, pulling back today. If I pull up NU had a bit of a bounce. Let's take a look at this M5. Hit a trend line. Yeah, so look good today. Flattened out here. Hit a trend line. So won't have enough time to take as a day trade short. But if this happened earlier in the day, you had a chance to ride this trend line breakout, and then at VWAP here you could short. So you see this average price at VWAP. It's pretty much getting in over here. So remember that if you get a nice move earlier in the day and you have VWAP as a trailing stop, right, allows you to stay out of a lot of reversals. Okay. So those are a couple of nice picks today. Looks like market's testing over here. We're getting some pokes through, so it feels like we're going to drop lower, but, I don't know if we have enough time to really even get that move going or not. So that is it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. No pick. Stay light. And I don't think a lot's going to happen for the rest of this week. I think it's going to be pretty dull trading until the FOMC statement. I think we're going to just chop around in this range. And maybe we get a nice move on triple witching next week. Usually there is a trend day, and that's something that maybe we can take advantage of. If it favors the long side and we hold and we get a breakout, we may have a little push. So, keep light. And I think this is a good time to be patient, both in terms of not taking positions and in terms of not exiting positions. I would ride them out and exit them very carefully, right? If they're still looking good, don't hit the panic button just yet. If they're not looking good, I would take some foot off the gas. And look, we're already out of 60%, 70% of our total exposure. So we're just going to be kind of reducing exposure the higher this goes over here. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on Friday.